How's it going, folks? Stu here. It's too hot right now. Just feel like we should get that straight out of the bat. I do have to formally apologise if I start Raiders of the Lost Arking up in here. Listen, we're all friends, right? We're not going to let a little bit of sweat get between us, are we? And today, we're doing what I haven't done for, 4 months now? And that's go through the last month of things that I've been watching. July was not just the most hot I've ever felt on one of the days. It was also a month filled with good releases and not good releases. And also, films that already existed before July. And guess what? I watched a handful of them. So before we pull up my Letterboxd and get chatting good and proper about the last month, let's do some housekeeping. Listen, if you like this video and you want to see me do more of these, click subscribe, turn on the bell button, you won't miss it. And while you're down there, good grief, why am I drinking a beer while I'm recording? And while you're down there, there's a link for my actual Letterboxd. I don't know why I'm whispering. We haven't got long. He's going to be back soon. Oh! And with that, that's all the housekeeping I can think of to get out the way at the beginning of the video. Unless you guys have got any suggestions, anything you want to get off your chest? Not that, George. Never that. Should we go look at my Letterboxd? I think we should. Let's spin around. I feel like, imagine if I did this whole thing over here. Smallest man on screen. Don't even have any cutaways. Just, you've got to look at this screen. That'd be bloody balmy, wouldn't it? Let's actually move you. Welcome to last month on Letterboxd Jungle Edition, apparently. Because I've put you right in my... I need to move this, don't I? It's getting out of the way. Alright guys, Bush is gone. We're no longer gorilla vibing this shit. We're not in the jungle anymore. Oh, get away from me. That joke hurt my arm. Shouldn't have done that at the beginning of the video. Right, let's actually start. July, hello. You look nice and tasty, don't you? I'd say we've got a pretty even spread of star numbers there. Look at that. We've got stars left, right and centre. What is this, the bloody Met Gala? Where to start? Let's do the 1st of July. I do pride myself in mixing things up on the channel, so, you know, let's do it. Oh, by the way, I should have said it earlier. Get a beverage and get cozy. Only way to watch these. Oh, also on the toilet. Watch them on the toilet. That's fun. I say that like I've got a fun Easter egg for all you toilet watchers. You won't believe what happens at the 7-minute mark. Just, you know, watch out and make sure no one else is near you. 1st of July, we watched The Sadness. I'd heard a lot about this film. People saying, oh, this is mental. Oh, this is brutal. This is one of the most depraved zombie horror films I've ever seen. It didn't do it for me. Sorry to be blunt about that, but this film wasn't particularly good. Yeah, sure, this was violent as heck, but also beyond stupid. Once you click that it's really just going for depravity, it just gets boring, feels way longer than it is, and starts to drag. People weren't lying, this thing's brutal, and it's like very obviously going for that. But if you're not actually doing anything refreshing story-wise, or like theme-wise, or anything-wise, that gore and that brutality just starts to become quite numbing, really. There are some effective kills in here that have me feeling like a 78-year-old man going, good grief! Is this what the kids watch these days? But yeah, just like as it went on, it just sort of lost a lot of steam. It's an aptly named film because all I'm feeling is straight sadness, as I gave this one a 2 stars. But what do we watch next? Marry Me, which is a film I kind of like, I'm ashamed to admit it, but I was very excited for when it came out in cinemas. Because, let's be honest, rom-coms are amazing, and anyone that says otherwise is just evil. But it looked like that special kind of bad rom-com that is actually quite nice rom-com. The sort of rom-com that they don't really make anymore, you know? It's rare that we see something like this come out, I think. So I kind of got like weirdly interested and excited about it, missed it in the cinema, caught it now that it was available to rent, and it did exactly what I wanted it to do. It was quite sweet, and I apparently didn't write a review for it. Am I going to do it now? Yes, I guess I am. Marry Me? Sure. Biting stuff as usual. Save, 3 stars. But it was around this time when I got ridiculously ill out of nowhere. And it wasn't COVID, and I know that because I tested, because I was like, I'm this ill, this better be COVID. But it wasn't. There are just other things that can get you ill, apparently. Who knew? So I asked you guys for some suggestions, and I believe this one came from Sarah on Twitter. So firstly, big shout out for recommending this one. It was on my watch list for a while, but like, that was the kick I needed to actually watch it. You know, that thing that you do when something's on your watch list. I watched The Kid Detective on my day of rest, which is an Adam Brody starring sort of, I guess it's a dark comedy thriller about a guy that used to be a kid detective. He's grown up now and he has an actual murder case. And I wasn't disappointed. I don't know if it's because I was rotting on a sofa, but this was kind of exactly what I needed. A nice, easy, solid watch. Possibly the most ill I've ever felt, and this was the pleasant surprise I needed. Takes me right back there. Feeling like I was gonna die. Horrible, horrible spelling error in that review, so we'll just slide straight on from that. Yeah, this had good chuckles and also got like really deep. Like this, it went to places I didn't expect it to go, which worked. And it just sort of throws that on you. It's like going along, doing its thing, and then suddenly you're like, damn, that's actually really fucked up. What the hell is going on? 3.5 stars. Look at that. Solid old time. So far, the best film I watched in July. So the second one I watched in my ill day was also recommended to me on Twitter when I asked you guys for some ill watches. I can't for the life of me remember who recommended it, but whoever it was, you're a G. Blue Collar I watched. Feels like a bit of a weird ill movie choice. Like when I originally put that tweet out, I was thinking like trash, rom-coms, animated films or something. The usual stuff you watch when you're ill on a sofa. And apparently some people see that and go, hey, Paul Schrader is exactly your guy. But I'm happy I did go with this recommendation because this was a really solid film and was a blind spot in my Paul Schrader filmography viewings. So yeah, ticked it off the list and it delivered. It's a brilliant, angry little film about 3 union workers plotting to steal money from their union and all sorts goes on. A gaping hole in my Schrader film knowledge, so I was gassed to finally tick it off and boy did it deliver. You can tell I was ill here because I just didn't write anything substantial in these reviews at all. But I was gassed, it did deliver. 4 stars. But listen, that's a good upwards trajectory to start the month off on, you know? And I'm finally starting to feel better when we come around to July the 8th. Apparently announcing dates in a Letterboxd review like I'm Poirot at the end of a murder mystery film is my new thing. So I watched Heathers, which is a film I have not ever seen despite it being a cult classic that everyone's always banging on about. I actually only watched this because I saw some cheap tickets come up to see Heathers on the West End. Didn't end up going seeing it anyway. But we were like, hey, I kind of want to see that. Should we just watch the film? I feel like we should watch the film it's based off of. So we watched it. Good grief, this film is so good. The mineral water punchline is an absolute all-timer. Yep, I laughed out loud and almost had to pause the film and rewatch it because it was such a good joke in the film. But this film is just littered with just hilarious shit and like stupid, dumb, but also smart, satire-y, hilarious shit. But also Winona Ryder. So like, you know, what are you gonna do? Not enjoy it? 4.5 stars. Look. What did I say? Upwards trajectory or what for July? I'll put that down before anyone gets the wrong idea. Should we move on? Next up in the month, on the 9th, I was finally feeling fresh enough to get out to the cinema. So I went and saw Elvis, which is of course the new Baz Luhrmann film, a biopic about everyone's favorite musician, Bowie. Was a bit worried about this one because it didn't look good from any of the trailers, but also Baz Luhrmann. So like, I'm pretty much a fan of all his stuff. Even when it didn't really work, it's still fun and enjoyable. And he delivered. I was surprised at how much he delivered. Threatens a lot of the time to derail, but never did it. It was amazing. It never went off the rails. Even Tom Hanks doing whatever the hell he was doing in this film didn't derail this thing. Baz, you son of a bitch. Short review, but I feel like it honestly says everything you need to know about this film. 4 stars. Solid stuff, Baz. You gosh darn Australian lunatic. But after that, we had a small break in the month where things got a little bit busy before I was back in the cinema again to watch something that I was very, very late to seeing. That was, of course, Top Gun Maverick, which everyone was like, hey, this is kind of incredible. And again, nothing about this film looked like it was going to be that good from the trailers. Like, even if you're a Top Gun diehard fan, I feel like no one was watching those trailers thinking, yeah, this is going to be it. This is going to be the thing that saves cinema. But fuck me, was this thing good. Holy mother of God, my butt cheeks were clenched so tight for the last half hour of this film, I thought I was going to bloody implode on myself. Cinema cleaners were going to have to come around at the end, picking up all the, like, popcorn spilled everywhere and the empty drinks and go, good grief, that's a man! And he's been sucked into his whole butthole. That is one of those moments where if my neighbours can hear me recording, I'm sorry. This shit had no right to slap like this. What in God's butt crack? Yeah, sure. Incredibly cheesy. And yeah, sure, the story is pretty flimsy. Action-wise, it is a perfect exhibit in how to set up your stakes and just gradually increase them and then just unleash hell on your audience at the end. 4 stars for Top Gun Maverick. But my next watch wasn't a cinema one. It is a very old one. It is a classic. It was a Friday, I think, and I had nothing on and I just wanted to kick back after a long week with a beer and watch something I knew I enjoyed. And usually that becomes me watching one of a handful of comedies. One of those is The Naked Gun. I whacked it on. It just, I mean, what's there to say about The Naked Gun? There's a school of thought that says this film gets a bit tired after you've seen it already. I don't subscribe to that school of thought because that school of thought is wrong. This film is so funny every time I watch it. All the jokes land exactly the same as they landed first time I watched it. This time the bit that killed me was a bit where his head was telling him about the time he killed a bunch of actors in the park because they were doing a recital of Shakespeare and he thought that they were actually just attacking a homeless man. What a joke. And yeah, nothing's as funny when you explain it to a camera, is it? 4.5 stars for The Naked Gun. You done knew it, didn't you? You knew it was. But listen, guys, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but good things must come to an end because I watched Incantation on Netflix, which is a horror film, I believe a Taiwanese horror film. But look, a found footage horror film in the setting that this is in usually can do something well, usually going to scare me in some places. I just wanted to be scared, you know, that's all I wanted. And unfortunately, it just wasn't really as good as I think this film thought it was. Had entertaining enough time with this, but to be honest, I forgot about it within a day. Enjoyed piecing together the plot, but I think the edit and pacing of this thing really gets in the way of coherence. Yeah, it's like the film was enjoyable and intriguing and entertaining, but at every step of the way, whoever was editing this thing was just like throwing in a spanner to fuck with us. It flips back and forward between time in a really unsatisfying way, which ultimately just ended up getting in the way of things. I don't think it needed that. It weren't that good, guys. And I know some people that I trust on their views that was saying this was awesome. Looking at you, Mariana. Okay, I'm calling you out. You told me this was going to be good. How dare you? Just kidding. We love you, but look, don't let it happen again. 2.5 stars for Incantation. Bang slap in the middle. I suppose there could have been worse films to have after 4.5 stars, but you know, it just sometimes the mid-range, the average films feel like the more frustrating ones to be watching, right? But listen, things are creeping back up. Okay, we fell down the hill. We're back on our feet. We're walking back up the hill. I watched Ambulance, which is again a film which I missed in the cinema, and I was kind of intrigued to see because Michael Bay can often deliver like at least fun, entertaining films. Even if they're terrible, they're usually like terribly fun. And it was surprisingly really fun. Like, a lot of things in this film are not that great. It's stupid, ridiculous, over the top, obnoxious, everything you've come to expect from a Michael Bay film in 2022. But I'll be damned if I didn't have a good time. And man, this thing rumbled my floor. Listen, if you've got a sound system with a subwoofer on the floor, take that thing off the floor before you watch a film like this. Good grief, the helicopters, the explosions, the gunshots. My word. I felt like I had to apologize to my neighbors after I watched it. Like, by the way, no one died up here. I just watched a film. Pretty fun stuff, I cannot lie. FPV drones are my weakness. That shit just looks so dope. Although, listen, would it hurt to let those shots play out for a little longer? Yeah, that's like my biggest issue with the editing of this film. You've got these insane shots that you've been able to get with a drone, and it just cuts so quickly through them. Like, I want to have time to watch you do some mad maneuver. They were kind of crazy though, right? That shit was nuts. 3 stars for Ambulance, but like a good 3 stars, you know? But just like toddlers in 2022 watching CBBC, we couldn't avoid another tumble. That was an incredibly niche children's TV joke for anyone that's ever watched Mr. Tumbles on CBeebies. Nice. I watched Where the Crawdads Sing, which I wasn't excited about at all. I thought looked like a pretty pants film, but my girlfriend adores the book. And look, Daisy Edgar Jones is in a film. I'm probably gonna go check it out. We went and saw it. I believe it was MovieGo's Film of the Week, which meant free ticket, which is, you know, always a bonus, and makes it a little bit easier watching films that aren't that good. 3/4 of this thing are just like not good, but also not terrible. It's fine if not absolutely bland, like a Nicholas Sparks rom-com fine. But then the end is hilarious. If you want to do that ending, you better damn well build it up thematically where it matters. Instead, it absolutely doesn't do that. Also, why flick back and forth to a courtroom drama that has absolutely no energy on me? Yeah, I couldn't stop thinking about the fact that the courtroom stuff in here is doing nothing. There's no momentum to it whatsoever, and it keeps just cutting back because I guess it feels like that's a narrative device it needs to be doing. All time a hilarious plot twist though. I kind of saw it coming, but also what in the name of sweet Christ was that? 2 stars for Where the Crawdads Sing. Next film was a really weird one, right? Because apparently, according to Letterboxd, I've seen this film before and I've logged it. But I was convinced I'd never seen it, so we put it on Netflix as like a late night, Saturday night film. And there were like flashes where I was like, I have seen this. But like 98% of this film was entirely new to me. I don't know what was happening when I first watched it, but I gave it a worse star rating the first time I saw it. And honestly, like, I don't know what was happening to me. Girls Trip, which is of course the 2017 rom-com starring Tiffany Haddish, Queen Latifah, and Jada Pinkett Smith. And of course, Brenda from Scary Movie. Never forget her. We just save her to the end because she's the best. Looks like I gave it 2 stars last time, which seems harsh because I had a fun, stupid time here. Yeah, it is a fun, stupid time. Good choice of words past me. 3 stars for Girls Trip. Honestly, fun stuff. Am I getting shinier and shinier? I feel like I'm on fire. After Girls Trip, we had another little 6-day break there where I was just stupidly busy, but then we kicked back with Not Okay, which was added to Disney Plus recently. I didn't know this film existed until the day it was added, and it looked like fun, so I watched it. Liked a lot of it, but also sort of spent the first 2 acts waiting for it to really click and fly, and it never really happened, but I did really like the last scene and what it was sort of going for with it. So yeah, enjoyable watch. Kind of forgotten a lot about it by now, but I still definitely recommend it if you're a fan of Zoe Deutsch and films like this. It reminded me a lot of kind of like a not as good and a bit younger pitch Ingrid Goes West, which I love that film, and I felt there were hints of that in it. 3 stars for Not Okay, which is ironic, I guess, because it was just okay. Then we came to the end of July. Things are starting to wrap up, and I did what I usually do every month, which is eventually sit down on a sofa and decide I need to watch a Brian De Palma film. I watched Sisters, which is a very De Palma film. It's basically about a woman with a twin that gets spotted from someone in the apartment opposite doing a murder. Brian, you son of a bitch, the split screen stuff here was legit incredible. It was. I should say more about the film, but I'm not gonna. I'm just gonna say the split screen stuff was so good. I will say more. The thing I love the most about De Palma is that even when his films get really trashy and cheesy and over the top and corny, he still manages to do them in a way which is legitimately interesting, or at least engaging from a technical standpoint as someone that creates things. Like, it's fun watching him as a filmmaker build his films. But B, they're always fun. They're just like, without fail, you have a good time. This was no different. Sisters gets a 4 stars from me. And then on the same day, on the 30th, we had a bit of a movie watching afternoon because we had no plans after a week of too many plans. So obviously you just sit at the sofa and just see where the day takes you. But it was a weird one because we tried watching a film and we couldn't get through the film. That film was The Grey Man, which is the new Netflix action film directed by the Russo brothers, starring Ryan Gosling, Chris... I've just forgotten what Chris it was. What Chris is in this? Chris Pine, Chris Hemsworth, Chris Evans. How have I just forgotten Chris Evans' name? Now listen, I should preface this by saying I think we were just very tired. So this isn't necessarily as big a hit on the film as it's going to sound like. But yeah, I mean, we fell asleep 20 minutes in. So I've logged it because I felt like I should log it. But I didn't give it a star rating because that would be cruel. And I do feel like I should maybe come back to this sometime in the future. But that 20 minutes that I watched, aside from putting us to sleep, was also not good. So I don't know what to expect, really. And then we come to the end of July on the 31st, when I went out and saw a film which has been a big, glaring blind spot in classics I've seen. Anyway, there's a Wim Wenders retrospective going on in a bunch of cinemas at the moment, and Paris, Texas was showing, so I went over there, took my booty out, I sat in a cinema seat and we watched it, and holy ever-living shit was this film good. Like, all-timer good, and I appreciate that this is an all-timer for basically everyone that's seen it, so I'm very late to the party on this one. Slightly ashamed to say I'd never seen this one before, but guys, holy shit, I'm in love with this film. Gorgeous in damn near every aspect, and paced so immaculately it's borderline not fair. Yeah, every second of this film has you hooked, has you gripped. It's stunning to look at. I just loved it, and it shifts the perspective of its characters so stunningly. My God, it's good. And what a way to end the month, because goodness gracious, guys, it's a ruddy 5 stars. I love a good first time watch 5-star. It's satisfying, right? When you're like, yeah, I know this is a 5-star, have it. But with that, we come to the end of July. Look at that. I'd say that's a pretty good month of movie viewing. But I feel like from here on out, I need to make it an objective to try and get like a few quota films in each month. I think I need to force myself to see like one bad film a month, like something that I don't think looks good, so I would usually avoid, but I should go and do it just for the sake of variety. And I also feel like, and I kind of do this already, sort of unintentionally, but I feel like I should get one stone cold classic in there each month. So in that sense, I'm going to ask you guys, what is a absolute banger film? Like, what is one of the best classics you have seen that you think I might not have seen and you'd like me to see? Leave it in the comments below and I'll see if I can get around to it, and we will reconvene next month and see what happened. But while you're down there as well, let me know what you've been watching in July. No doubt you've seen some things, so give me a list. I want to know. And of course, if you like this and you like watching me talk about things I've seen, then I do usually do this every month. I say usually because, listen, things got pretty hectic this year, didn't they? Things got pretty busy. It's been 4 months. But in theory, I do this every month, so make sure you're subscribed and have the bell icon ticked. And of course, my Letterboxd link is down in the description below as well, so you can go follow me there. But listen, I'm stupidly hot. This flat holds heat like no one's business. I'm about to sweat and die. I need to go, so I'm gonna do that.